Hi, hier ist Ben von Dailydpad und ich sitze hier mit Phil Robb, dem Co-Founder und Creative Director von Total Rock Studios, who are doing Evolve right now. So, my first question would be, what is your current work on the game?
What do I do?
Yeah, what do you do on the game right now?
Well, I mean, a creative director, it kind of encompasses a lot of things. I mean, I do a good amount of art direction. I've been involved in the writing a bit. I've been involved in like some of the cinematic stuff, and basically just making sure that the quality level of everything in the game is as high as we can make it. And then, of course, I do other less interesting things like sign checks and
of course,
and businessy kind of bullshit.
Yeah, and like giving interviews.
Exactly. Well, I don't mind giving interviews. That's fun.
So I would like to go back in time. I would like to go back in time a bit. So okay, thank you. When you started start developing Evolve, so how did you come up with the idea? What was your main goal to achieve with this game?
Well, I mean, it comes from a lot of different areas. I mean, the idea for Evolve actually predates Left 4 Dead. I mean, it's something that my partner Chris was thinking about, a long time ago about, a bunch, us 4 cooperative players going up against, one giant monster. But there's also aspects of like sitting around at lunch, many years ago, talking about like trying to figure out why people like to deer hunt so much. I mean, there was a time when that game was really popular, and we were like, I don't get it. I mean, like, there's one thing to actually go out into the forest and sit and enjoy some nature, right, and go deer hunting for real. It's an entirely other thing to sit in your underwear at the computer and wait for a digital deer. I don't know. We couldn't figure it out, right? So we were trying to figure it out. And one of the things we started talking about was like, well, I mean, I could see the appeal if it was something dangerous that you were hunting, right? That would come after you if you messed up, right? And the idea kind of snowballed from there, really. I mean, it's like, well, what if it was dinosaurs? What if it was King Kong? Hey, what if it was giant alien monsters, right? And then, of course, I mean, we're a studio that really likes cooperative games. I mean, as evidenced in some of our past games. And all of our games will probably always have some sort of cooperative element. That's what we like. That's what we want to play. And generally, we try to make games that we want to play. So yeah, I mean, kind of all those aspects came together, and that's sort of where it all came from.
Okay. So thinking gameplay-wise, what do you think are the benefits of your asymmetric multiplayer, like 4 versus 1?
As far as benefits go, I mean, I think it's a different experience, right? I mean, and that's what we're always striving to come up with. It's something that, we would really like to experience and that hasn't been done before. I mean, that's where our games sort of, spring from. It's like, hey, I really want to be able to do X, right? And why hasn't anyone given us that yet? And hey, what the hell? Let's do it, right? So, I mean, the benefit, I think, is just sort of a new type of experience. Obviously, we think we're really happy with the idea that, hey, we're allowing one player to be the boss, right? Be the boss monster and sort of experience that level of, power, being this giant monster. But you have to work for it. We don't just give it to you. You gotta eat, feed off of the wildlife, and you gotta grow to get that sort of feeling of complete and utter, destructive mayhem. So yeah, I mean, I think that's a big benefit. Obviously, and the other thing is that we're able to sort of appeal to different kinds of gamers, right? I mean, there's the kind of gamers that really like the cooperative element and working as a team and winning as a team. That's something that I really find satisfying. But then there are other people who don't want to work as a team. You know, they just kind of want all the glory for themselves. You know, and they want to just destroy their friends. And I think that's where, you know, the more competitive element comes in, and that appeals to that kind of player who just, you know, doesn't want to rely on anyone, just wants to get in there and kick ass. So, you know, it's kind of, you know, it's good for different types of gamers.
Yeah, okay, thank you. But is there a specific reason why you picked 4 players on one? Or would it be 3 or 5? Or is there a specific element to 4 players?
Yeah, I mean, well, the 4 element is sort of something that we brought from Left 4 Dead. I mean, it's something that we experimented with a lot. I mean, it goes back to, you know, when we were doing initial playtests of Left 4 Dead prototypes and trying to figure out what is a good number, right? And we found that 3 wasn't enough. 3, you know, inevitably 2 guys would run off together and 1 guy would split up. It wasn't enough to be able to make it through all the sort of hazards that we set up. But 5 ended up being a little bit too much. You know, it was just it's just about getting in there and getting a feel for things. You know, and the more we played, excuse me, the more we played, we just found that 4 just was a good number, right? I mean, in terms of evolve, like, you can split up to find the monster quicker, right? And you can split off into teams of 2. You're never alone, right? I mean, if you run into the monster, it's not generally a good idea to engage him with there's only 2, but if you accidentally step in a chomp plant, there's going to be somebody there to help you out, right? So yeah, I mean, I can't really say there's a big scientific, you know, intelligent, you know, answer to that question. It's just, you know, we played it and we sort of went with what felt good, and we just sort of stuck with it for a while.
Okay. Are there a few games that that inspired you to do Evolve? You say it predates even Left 4 Dead, so that's quite some time. So back then, were there some games which you said, that's a cool game, I want to, that's really inspiring?
Right. Well, Chris, my partner, he's actually a really huge fan of Giants.
Okay.
And I think some of it comes from there. A lot of it just comes from not so much games, but media. You know, I mean, obviously, you know, you think of King Kong, you know, in that scene where he breaks into the village in Skull Island, and, you know, the whole team has set up traps to capture King Kong. I mean, that's kind of an epic moment, right? Particularly in the latest King Kong. Love it or hate it, that scene where he comes in and breaks in, and they've got all the, you know, the harpoon traps set up and stuff like that. That was epic, and that was sort of like, wow, that's a really cool gaming moment. I'd love to be able to do that. You know, there's definitely some influence from Predator there. You know, a team of guys going up against this one, you know, alien badass. Okay. You know, there's some aliens in there. I mean, there's a lot of influence. I can't really say we took any, you know, from one specific place.
Yeah. Okay. Currently you have 2 different monsters, and 4 classes, and each class has 2 different characters which work differently. So there are a lot of combinations possible right now, and it's going to be even more, I think, when the game launches. So how did you manage to balance the game for all those different combinations?
Well, I mean, playtest, play the game. I mean, that's a thing that, you know, is sort of like almost like a religion at Turtleneck. You know, we play our games, right, every night if possible. And, you know, I mean, over time you play it and you play it and you play it, and you get the feel for what works and what doesn't. But that's not really enough. We have a pretty nice and robust telemetry system hooked up to the games. So, you know, anytime, you know, somebody has the perception that something is overpowered or underpowered, we can actually go and look at hard data to see if that is actually the case. You know, ultimately it's just a lot of hard work, you know, and paying attention to what's going on and getting as much feedback as you possibly can. You know, and my partner Chris, he's in there messing with numbers every day, you know, looking at the telemetry and seeing, okay, well, you know, what the ratio is a bit off today, and why is that? You know, and then making adjustments based on that.
So during the development, your game is evolving all the time. Okay. So do you have plans on evolving your game beyond launch?
Yeah, for sure. Anytime. I mean, I've been doing this for 20 years, and I've never worked on a game where we were able to get in all of the ideas in the time, or within the budget that we had. There's always stuff that you have to be like, well, okay, we've got to save that. And this game is no exception. I mean, we've got a lot of ideas of things that we'd like to try and do, that we just weren't able to fit, into our schedule. So, for sure. I mean, the thing is, if you buy a game these days, you don't want the developer to just kind of throw it at you and then fuck off and go make toasters, right? You want that game to have legs, and you want your sort of investment to stick around. And the longer a game is sort of viable, and the bigger the community gets, the more fun you have. So for us, it's about release is just the beginning. We put it out there. I mean, the game then becomes the community's game, and they're going to do things with it that we never expected. They're going to want things that we didn't think of. And so, in addition to sort of the ideas that we have, we're going to be listening and watching very closely to what everybody, what people react to, what people ask for, and tailor our sort of future, updates based on that.
Okay, thank you very much. For the end of our interview, I would like to ask you one specific question. That's about you want to sell your game really hard. So, what would you tell someone who doesn't know your game? What would you tell in like 2 or 3 sentences why you should buy your game?
Why you should buy our game? Well, because one, I mean, who doesn't want to be a giant monster, right? I mean, I think of an old Calvin and Hobbes comic, and I don't know if did you guys have Calvin and Hobbes?
Yeah, we do actually.
There was one where he made a whole bunch of tiny little snowmen, right? And you're wondering what he's going to do with that, and then of course he destroys them all. I mean, it's kind of it's fantasy fulfillment, right? You get to be a giant monster, and if that's not your bag, well, you get to team up with 3 more of your buddies, and you get to have the challenge of bringing down this massive beast. I think that's just a pretty compelling experience. At least it was for us. Because like I said, we make games that we want to play. So yeah, give it a try. I mean, we've got a lot of variety, a lot of replayability. I mean, that's one of our huge goals, was to make a game that is as close to infinitely replayable as possible. And we're doing our best to do it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.